Okay, let's get into this. If you think about Barcelona, that amazing vibe, you might picture these unique spots, right?
Mhm.
And one that really stands out, kind of a cornerstone of the scene, is La Calada. That's what we're diving into today.
Yeah.
We're using an article called La Calada, Barcelona's Cannabis Legacy, as our main source here.
Our only source, really, for this deep dive.
Right. And our mission, basically, is to unpack the story presented in this article. It's founding, the culture, the craft, those tricky legal bits, and where it might be heading globally.
That's good.
So the article kicks things off back in 2012. It mentions the founders. Jah Ki Revi, an Italian reggae artist. Apparently the name comes from Dame Luna Kalada, like give me a hit.
Ah, interesting.
I'm also a legacy co-founder, Bobby Kalada. The piece describes him as an Italian activist who became this grow guru. And it suggests they were pretty key in shaping that whole Spanish social club model.
Yeah, and what the article really emphasizes is how it wasn't just about cannabis. It was this fusion, Elite cannabis, sure, but mixed with art, music, community.
A real cultural hub.
Exactly. The article calls it a cultural landmark rooted in reggae and roots music. It wasn't just a shop. It was like a lounge, a studio, a sanctuary space full of art, games, creatives. More than a vibe, it says a movement.
Okay, so that's the foundation. Then the article shifts a bit towards the actual craft, the quality.
Yeah.
It puts a spotlight on Bobby Kalada's role here.
Right, bringing in those elite cultivation methods and extraction techniques, that seems central to their reputation, according to this piece.
And it looks like that focus really paid off.
Oh, yeah. The article lists a whole string of awards and recognitions. Big names: Legends of Hashish, Dabadoo, Élite Cup, Secret Cup Bizkaia,
Wow.
even the Emerald Cup over in California. The article makes it clear this cemented their rep, made their specific jars, really sought after by people who know their stuff.
Okay, so they build this reputation for culture and craft, but then the article brings up the challenges, the legal side.
Yeah, it frames it very clearly. Like all Barcelona clubs, they're operating in what the article calls a legal gray zone.
Which sounds precarious.
It definitely highlights the instability. The article mentions Mayor Colboni's promise in 2023 to shut down clubs, and even talks about raids happening right before Cannabis in 2024.
So, real pressure.
Exactly. But the article uses these examples to show just how unstable that gray zone actually is. Constant tension.
But even with that backdrop, the article points towards, ambition. Expansion.
It does. It talks about La Calada going global, specifically mentions La Calada, Thailand. And there's this vision, it says, for a whole cannabis resort out in Koh Samui.
So exporting that Barcelona model.
Kind of, exporting their specific blend of weed culture and, I guess, hospitality. But connecting back to the core idea, the article really hammers home that La Calada sees itself as more than a club, a community.
Right, that community aspect again.
Yeah, it calls it a safe haven, a creative hub.
Yeah.
Even describes it as a sort of quiet act of defiance. And apparently, during crackdowns, it becomes a rallying point for education, for resistance.
And that influence goes beyond the club itself, based on the article.
Definitely. It talks about their cultural imprint through content they create, merch, music videos. It mentions Jah Ki Revi's Remember My Marijuana. Collabs with artists, too. The article really positions them as a cultural brand.
Not just a place.
Not just a place. And the article wraps up by saying they're still blazing in 2025, still putting out strains like Zombie Kush, Sunset Sherb Gelato, Clementine Kush, and that, people globally are watching what happens next with their legacy.
Okay, so let's pull back. Looking just at what this article presented, the key thing seemed to be this real blend of culture and top-tier craft, operating under this constant legal pressure, this gray zone,
Right.
but built on a really strong community foundation and now looking outwards, globally.
Yeah, that sums it up pretty well from the source, which leads to a kind of provocative final thought, just based on this article. What is the future for places like La Calada? Trying to innovate culturally, expand globally, all while dealing with that fundamental instability of the legal situation described. It's a tricky balance.
So listening to this deep dive, based purely on that article, what stands out most to you?